as your startup grows, you're going to start to have teams and sub-teams. And obviously, the larger you are, the more complex the nature of the organization is going to be, and the more interaction people are going to have in groups, small and large. And so, one thing that it took me a while to learn, and I thought would be helpful to pass on, was just the concept of first team. And so, what that means is if you're a person who's a part of two or more teams, you're inherently going to have one that is your primary team, like the one you are most loyal to. And so, which one should that be? So let's actually take the example of an executive team, because that's just the easiest one for me to think about. Usually, an executive team has a CEO, and then it's going to have the head of engineering, head of sales, head of finance, head of product, potential head of marketing, et cetera, et cetera. And so on that exec team, each of those people, so the head of engineering is part of the engineering team, obviously, head of sales, part of the sales team, head of product, et cetera, et cetera. So those people who are sitting in that room, and frankly, by the way, the CEO is part of a board, so even the CEO is part of multiple teams. Which of the teams is their first team? In a lot of organizations, what ends up happening, and this is actually the natural state, which starts to create real problems. The natural state would be that for head of marketing, head of marketing, their first team will be marketing. For the head of sales, the first team is sales, and so on. And so when that group aggregates, what ends up happening is they come to represent the interests. They come to that second team, which is the exec team, to represent the interests of their first team. Meaning that sales will walk in and say, here's all the stuff sales needs. Here's why we're not making our number. Here's how marketing didn't deliver what they should have delivered. Here's how engineering didn't build the products that we needed to hit our number. And this is why my team, my first team, they don't say that, but that's really what they mean, wasn't able to do what they needed. At the same time, engineering will be like, well, here's why we couldn't launch what we needed to launch. We were distracted by all these ancillary feature requests. Finance wouldn't let us, hire the people we needed to hire, so the team was too small. Product didn't actually give us specs that we needed to build what we needed to build, and so that's why my team, my first team, couldn't do what needed to get done. And you end up with a lot of conflict and a lot of jockeying, and frankly, just a lot of politics. Which all groups have politics, but that's all working in the wrong direction. What you need to do, and what this took me a while to figure out as an entrepreneur, is in any case where there's cross-functional teams, that usually should be the first team. And specifically for an exec team, the exec team is the first team. And their individual teams that they're managing are their second team. So your head of sales, head of engineering, etc., should be on the exec side working with CEO and their counterparties to figure out what the company strategy could be. What is our goal this year? What do we need to launch? What do we need to sell? What do we need to deliver on a financial standpoint? Where do we want to be positioned in terms of the market? What kind of products do we need to design? All of those things. Like, we all agree as a team, a cross-functional executive team, and then our job is to go back to our second team, which is the one that's on our business card, and convey the needs of the exec team and actually advocate for our counterparts. So when I'm the VP of engineering, when my director of engineering and my other engineers are like, oh, we can't do this because sales is doing this and that and blah, 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 my job is actually to explain to them why what sales is doing actually is part of the company strategy and something we agreed upon at the exec level. It's actually a harder way to manage, and it makes you feel more comfortable, sticking with the home team, but like the actual functional way to actually build a business is to make sure that the first team is happening in a cross-functional way instead of your individual silos. And the same holds true for sales, right? Like, when you have to make a number and engineering isn't launching something that they never agreed to launch, your job as a head of sales is to advocate for your first team, which is the exec team, and make sure that your salespeople understand that we agreed to this number independent of this product launch. We can't just go back and ask for it right now. That wasn't really part of the plan. And so it's hard to do in practice, but mentally, I think it's a switch that most companies haven't thought through and would be very beneficial to institute early as your company grows.